What's up everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Marketing Nomad, and today we're going to be talking about how to overcome imposter syndrome. Now before we get into today's video, let me first give you a quick introduction about who I am. For those of you who are new, my name is Prit. I'm a podcaster, a YouTuber, an Etsy shop owner, a business owner, a digital entrepreneur, and a soon-to-be author as well. If you'd like updates about my upcoming book, definitely do sign up for the author newsletter in the description box below. Alrighty guys, let's get into today's video. How to overcome imposter syndrome. Now first off, before I actually get into the tips that I do have for you, I do want to say that each one of us, we definitely have faced imposter syndrome at some time or the other, sometimes even repeatedly as well. Okay? Imposter syndrome usually occurs when you feel that you are not competent enough, or you actually doubt your own capabilities. You perceive yourself to be less capable than other people. Generally, when you have imposter syndrome, you perceive yourself to be not as good as other people actually believe you to be. That usually instigates a feeling of fraud, where you feel that you are just tricking everyone around and you're taking everyone around for a ride. And a lot of psychologists actually do say, there's plenty of research on this, a lot of psychologists do say that as you become more and more successful, your imposter syndrome actually increases, which makes it even more important for us to actually discuss how to overcome imposter syndrome each time we do face it. Because like I said, it does come back time and again, and it does increase in its frequency as you achieve more success. Alrighty guys, now let's get into the 5 steps that I do have for you to overcome your imposter syndrome. Number 1 is to recognize the signs of it. Now most of the times when imposter syndrome comes knocking at your door, it's very hard to recognize it. Most of the times you feel that this is your natural state of being, and you don't really give it much of a glance for you to work through it. So my first step is always to recognize when I am facing imposter syndrome. A few signs that let me know that I am facing imposter syndrome would be when I fail to recognize my achievements, when I skimp over my wins, when I skimp over my successes, and I kind of put down the significance of the wins, of the successes. That's one of the huge signs that I'm actually dealing with imposter syndrome. Another thing is when I feel like a fraud, when I'm not charging my worth, when people perceive me to be successful but I don't feel that way about myself, and I feel very low about myself, or I don't want to recognize my previous achievements. All of these are huge signs that you are facing imposter syndrome. Then we hop on to step number 2, which is acknowledge what you are feeling. I think that this is pretty hard because especially when it comes to imposter syndrome, when you're feeling really low about yourself, it can be easy for you to think that that's just the reality of it. It's really hard for you to understand that, okay, well, I'm not in the healthiest mindset and this is not an objective view of myself. So this is probably, I guess I would say, the hardest part of this entire overcoming process. When you acknowledge what you feel, what you're essentially telling yourself is that this view that I have of myself is not correct. Okay, and the minute you acknowledge what you feel, the minute you tell yourself that this view that I have of myself is not correct, it automatically leads your mind to figure out what exactly is the correct view of yourself. Okay, so step number 2 is all about acknowledging what you're feeling, understanding that imposter syndrome happens to every single person. It's not just you that it happens to, and also to not feel so bad that you are facing imposter syndrome. Now, step number 3 is to talk to someone who is absolutely neutral. This step has really worked well for me because every time I approach someone who's neutral, I know that their entire view of me is completely objective, and it usually helps. So for example, if I'm not feeling confident about my pricing, I feel that I'm overcharging, I'm a fraud for charging the prices that I am charging, what I do is maybe I talk to a fellow entrepreneur, and then I ask them, looking at my qualifications, looking at my social media platforms, looking at who I am as a person, and looking at the knowledge that I do have, my area of expertise, how do you feel about the prices that I set? And whatever their opinion is, I know that it comes from a neutral place. I know that it is absolutely objective. So that definitely does help me feel better about my situation and what I'm feeling about myself as well. So when I speak to a neutral person, it really helps me look at the entire situation objectively. It also allows me to recognize that what I'm feeling is just imposter syndrome. It's not the accurate view of myself. Now, number 4 is something that I do personally every single year, and that is remember your accomplishments. So every single year, just before the year end, somewhere around December 30th, 31st, what I do is I write down a list of my accomplishments, whatever they may be. It can even date back to when I was in primary 1. All of those things, I make sure to remind myself of the accomplishments that I have achieved so far, no matter how small, no matter how big. What this actually does, it really helps me to push forward during my low moments. And sometimes during the year, if I'm feeling low about myself, if I'm dealing with imposter syndrome, all I have to do is take that sheet of paper and then read it to myself. And this has helped me so many times, and this is something that I really, really recommend as well. Okay? Get into the practice of remembering your accomplishments. Get into the practice of celebrating your wins, because all of these are important. It helps to reaffirm to yourself that, hey, I'm actually worthy of where I am today. I'm deserving of the success that I'm facing today. Now, lastly, it does take some time for you to overcome your imposter syndrome. It does take time for you to acknowledge and recognize that it is imposter syndrome and then move forward from there. In the meantime, what's super, super important is that you remain kind to yourself. I know that it's really, really hard to be kind to yourself, especially when you're feeling so low about yourself, especially when you feel that your success is not really yours to celebrate, especially when you feel that you are undeserving of the achievements that you have made so far. In all of those moments, you have to remember to be kind to yourself. If you don't know what being kind to yourself means, I do have a video. I'm going to put the link in the description box as well. So all of these steps have really helped me with my imposter syndrome every time it does come knocking at my door. Like I said, it's not a one-time done and dusted kind of thing. It does come around every time I do feel a little bit of success. So I do want to tell you that this might be a process that you have to keep repeating with each imposter syndrome that you do find, that you do face, but I do have to tell you that it is possible for you to overcome your imposter syndrome. The minute you acknowledge that this is a distorted view of myself, it becomes that much more easier for you to overcome it, for you to have an objective view of the entire situation. The minute you have an objective view of the entire situation, it's just that much more easier for you to move past your imposter syndrome. Okay, that brings me to the end of this video. I really hope this video helped you. If it did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a YouTube video. For those of you who are interested to know more about updates about my upcoming book, definitely do follow me on Instagram. I share updates almost every single day over there. Total behind the scenes, and it's so much fun. You have to join me there, okay? Thank you so much for watching all the way up until here. I hope you are safe. I hope you're healthy, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.